Welcome back to another segment of the Born to Lead docuseries. I am your host, Dr. Jacqueline Kaba-Harrison, and I am so excited for this particular interview and to bring this guest into the studio. So, for those of you that don't know, the Born to Lead docuseries is actually a part of the Eight Queens Roundtable show and podcast, which initially was born out of the idea of bringing or giving women a voice, entrepreneurial women especially. So giving women a voice and also at the same time providing personal, professional, and leadership development. And the actual Born to Lead docu-series actually comes from the book that I was the visionary author for, titled Born to Lead, Awakening the Leader Within, which specifically focuses on the innate leadership ability in African American women. I believe that came out in 22. Yeah, I think it was September of 22, actually, because I celebrated it right along with my birthday. So anyway, so that was such a good concept, and we really enjoyed talking about it. So thus you have the Born to Lead docuseries. Well, each time I interview an entrepreneur, shall I say she's either an entrepreneur or maybe in corporate or both. And we actually talk about the ups and the downs, the ins and the outs of entrepreneurship, as well as leadership, right? Ending on a note of practical tips and tools that you can actually put in your arsenal to use to hone in and be able to grow your leadership skills, right? To hone in and grow your leadership skills. So let me go ahead and tell you about my next guest. So let's see here. All right. Her name is Erica Williams. To spur the investment needed into North County, she founded a Red Circle as a collaborative community benefit organization that was focused on addressing the racial injustice and inequality she saw in her home, North Street, Lewis County, which is North County, red. North County, red. Because all blood is red, and a circle to represent safety, unity, and the interconnection of needs for a healthy community. Thanks to recognition of our programs by both donors and grant funders, a Red Circle has grown from one employee in 2017 to 18 staff members present day. So I know you are super excited to meet Miss Erica Williams. Hello there, Miss Williams. How you doing this today?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. So I just gave the audience just a little snippet about a red circle. So go ahead. I'm so happy that you're here, that you agreed to come on or be a part of this Born to Lead docu-series. Go ahead and tell us a little bit more about Miss Williams and a red circle.
Yes, well, I am super excited to be here and be a part of this amazing docu-series. It is a topic that is so near and dear to my heart. Women and business and entrepreneurship. I actually got my MBA in 2012 so that I could uplift my community in the business world. I was working as a corporate paralegal and seeing all of the investment happening in other areas, not where I live. And I was like, well, how do I encourage these business owners and bankers and attorneys to invest in North St. Louis County? Because we have amazing infrastructure and things here. And so I decided to get my MBA and learn more about the business side of things and be able to be a voice for women entrepreneurs, because we're already entrepreneurs in our homes. You know, we run our homes even from early ages. Before we have our own home, we're helping get the kids ready. We're planning meals. We're doing all the things that a business owner needs to do. And so to be able to take those skills and talents and passion and meld it into something that I can use to make money, help other women make money, and hire other women and train other women is just so exciting to me.
Absolutely. And I like how you mentioned, because this is part of, like I had mentioned earlier about the Born to Lead or shall I say, where the Born to Lead docu-series comes from, the book, Born to Lead, Awakening the Leader Within, is that what I found in interviewing women over the past, I don't know, maybe 7 years, is that those skills that you talked about in terms of running the home are transferable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just, and I think a lot of times people, even myself included, back in my younger day, didn't really look at it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the skills that you use in running a home, raising children, is what you would use in running a company.
Absolutely.
And a lot of women don't even see it like that. And
No.
just kind of see that, see that transformation, like that light go off, like, wow,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yes, I can do it.
That's
I've
right. That's
already
right.
done it. I'm doing it.
I'm already doing it.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So this is you're in St. Louis,
Yes.
right? Okay. And I don't know a lot about St. Louis. So like, when you say North County, I'm not really sure. Is that a, I mean, like, I guess, tell me as an outsider, tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
that area.
So St. Louis, in the state of Missouri, can be two things. You have St. Louis City, which is St. Louis proper, and then you have St. Louis County. And so all of that together is the St. Louis region.
Okay.
Now, what ends up happening is to identify directionally where people are, we say terms like North County or West County or South County. And what that does is that helps to identify not only where people are physically, but their race sometimes, their socioeconomic status. One of the most famous questions here in this region is where did you go to high school?
Mm.
And what that does is that helps to pinpoint, were you someone who came from money or someone who did not, or somewhere in between.
Okay.
And so North County is not an official governmental entity. It's actually a part of St. Louis County. However, the county breaks it up, and sadly, it kind of breaks it up too in terms of where resources are allocated.
Okay.
A lot more resources are allocated to the western and southern parts of the county, and not in North County. North County is where most of the black people live in the region.
Okay.
And so, and socioeconomically, it has a range. You get homes from the $60,000 range to the $400,000 range.
Okay. Now, is it large? Like I said, I don't know, not that far
Mm,
from St. Louis, but don't know a lot about it. So we talking.
so the 12 zip codes that we service that encompass North County
Okay.
have about 250,000 residents.
Okay.
And within those residents, there are maybe within those 12 zip codes, there are maybe 6 grocery stores.
Okay.
And so they're in the area where the higher home values are.
Okay. Okay.
There's a lot of fast food places and convenience stores and dollar stores and liquor
And liquor
stores.
stores, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. 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 So that gives me a little bit
Kind of paint a picture.
right, there you go. Yeah, paint a
Mm-hmm.
picture. Think of that for nothing right then. But okay, so what were you doing? So a red circle came about or was founded in 2017.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what, obviously this is very passion driven,
Yes.
for you, right? Very passion driven. So what do you think was the pivotal, what made you decide, I mean, to take that step and say, I'm doing this, versus, oh, well, maybe this is a good idea, or I want to do something different, I want to make it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How did it come to be, was like, I'm doing this?
Yeah, it was a couple of years in the making, actually. So in August 2014, a young man by the name of Mike Brown Jr. was killed in the city of Ferguson. And Ferguson is one of the cities or municipalities within North County.
Okay.
And it's right next to where I live. I live in the city of Florissant. So you got all of Ferguson, Florissant, all of that is all up in North County. And so he was killed, and I was working, like I said, as a corporate paralegal, and just the shift of momentum in terms of race and racial equity and racial equality and all those conversations really became like my catalyst to look at my own life and what I was doing, to make a difference in my community instead of just at the law firm. You know, my husband and I raising our children and doing all the things that we thought were necessary to live the American dream. But this young man's killing really revealed, and the subsequent protests and things that happened afterwards reveal still the stark inequities that are in our neighborhoods. The fact that, you know, he was left in the street for 4 hours, and, you know, they talked so badly about him and his mom and his family. And then, you know, once I began to look at just the investment side of the region, it became apparent that I had to do something. Now, I wasn't sure what that something was going to be, but I had to do something to really raise awareness of the need for investment in my neighborhood. And so his death was the catalyst, and then a couple of other things happened after that. One pivotal moment was in 2017 when there was a group of people marching in, I want to say, North Carolina, and they were saying that Jews will not replace us. And that young lady, Heather Heyer, was killed when she was outside, and a car ran through the crowd where she was, and she was killed. And I was like, okay, between Mike Brown Jr. and her and all the different research and networking and learning and things that I had done, I'm like, okay, it's time to really just start something. So I was going to run a red circle in my spare time. I was going to do it after work on weekends and just really raise awareness, you know, first about the lack of investment in North St. Louis County. And it slowly became a full-time job that I began to do in 2018.
Okay. All right. I like that. She said, and then it slowly became a full-time job.
My
Okay.
bosses were like, "Where are you going all the time?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm kind of busy now."
You said, who said that?
My bosses at the law
Oh,
firm.
oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So what has this experience been like for you?
Oh, it's been a journey. It's been amazing. I've met some amazing people. You know, one of the things when I first got started was I really didn't know what I was doing. I just gotten my MBA, and I was still working, you know, as an employee, not as an entrepreneur myself. So I didn't know exactly all the things I had to do, but I was connected with some amazing people through the law firm, through the community, through just other groups that have been wanting to do something but didn't know what to do.
Hmm.
Like once I shared my vision about a red circle to people, they just latched on. And
Okay.
so that's, you know, one of the main reasons why I've been able to grow, because people see the vision and they accept it and want to help me further it.
Okay. Wow. Hmm. The visionary. So you know what? So thinking about that, being a visionary, yeah, being a visionary and leadership, or being in a leadership role. So you know what? Okay, before I go into that, let me ask this, because this is always interesting to me. When you were younger, growing up, I don't know, how old you are, but I know I was a child of the 70s, and this often comes up in whenever I, have talks with women about entrepreneurship, let's say. Now, me growing up, I was always told as a woman to be seen and not heard. And I know when, I looked at my mom was a homemaker. I looked at my aunts, my grandmother, I didn't have any older sisters, but, family members, immediate people,
Mm-hmm.
people that I was
Mm-hmm.
in regular contact with. The whole idea of, running anything other than a house wasn't something that I saw, or wasn't something that that was talked about. So so I guess my question to you is, what was your experience like, coming up in terms of that? And then two, were you seen as a leader even as a young Erica? So those are my
You
two
know, that's those are great questions. I'll answer the second question first.
Okay.
I was definitely seen as a young leader, and it actually got me in trouble
I hear
because
that all the time.
I was the kid who finished her work early,
Okay.
and I was impatient with my classmates, and so I would get up and walk around and purpose myself to help them with their work so we can
No,
move on.
that's hilarious.
I
Okay.
was the talker. I was bossy, as they say,
Okay.
but it wasn't like I wanted to lead just for the sake of leading,
Mhm.
running something. I just knew that we had other things to get done. And so I did not want to waste time on things. My mom, she worked outside of our house. She was a telephone operator for years, but I never was like in touch with any like women entrepreneurs, business owners. All the manager people I met were men, white men, to be honest. But yeah, I was definitely seen as a leader, even like in our play groups and cousin groups. I would get things organized and you know, it made
I
it
love it.
fun.
I love it. And I hear this often. But you know what? You got the biggest chuckle out of me. Not only did you finish early, but then you go get up and take it upon yourself to help others.
You know what ended up happening? By the time I got to high school, I got enough credits so early.
Mhm.
They assigned me to just tutor kids.
Okay.
They were like, here, just go tutor these kids in math. Go tutor these kids in home ec.
Okay. Wow, that is awesome. Now, do you have daughters?
I have one daughter and four sons.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is your I'm just curious, is your daughter
Yeah. Yeah. So
okay?
she is actually a Red Circles community arts director. So
Okay.
we have three focus areas here: community wellness, education, and the arts. And she is the arts director. So she runs the arts.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that was the one question. I done forgot what was the second question I asked? I done forgot already.
Oh, there were two. Was I
Right.
a leader and did I see like women and
Oh, right, right. Okay, okay,
yep.
okay. Yeah. Wow, that is too funny, Eric. That's hilarious. I love it though. Okay, so uh, all right, so let's go ahead and segue into talking a little bit more about entrepreneurship, leadership. So the first question that I have for you is, what's one of the tools that you use to make a red circle successful?
Yeah, one of the tools that I use and that I highly encourage anyone who's wanting to do any type of work in the community betterment space is listening to
Okay.
the community so that you are doing work with the community and not to the community.
Mm,
That's something that our community wellness director says all the time. And that's
okay.
so important because when you listen to the community, you learn so much about the people within the community. And, we started out this journey doing food access work. So getting food out to the community. Well, within that space, I learned that we have urban farmers in the region and we have chefs and we have what's called value added producers, people who take the food and make products with them so that they can sell them, restaurateurs, and that kind of like segued into my whole entrepreneurship space, not just for myself, but for these amazing food producers. One of the projects that I'm working on now is helping a group of about 10 Black and Latina food producers form their own co-op so that they can expand their product line and do things collectively, do things collaboratively as far as like ordering supplies and marketing budgets and things of that nature. So that it's not several small businesses trying to do things on their own, but one large group with 10 entrepreneurs working. So that's super exciting for me. So I highly suggest, don't assume that you know what the community needs. Don't assume that you know what they want, but listen to them and be humble enough to receive what they're saying and be integral enough to then make it happen.
Hmm. Hmm. Do you think that, and I don't know, maybe challenging. I don't know if it's challenging for you to answer this or not, but do you think that listening to the community is or has been a challenge in the past with other
Yes.
organizations? Okay, and why so?
Absolutely. So one of the things that people do is they rely too much on data,
Mm,
quantitative data that's been collected, and not necessarily the qualitative data that they can get firsthand from the people in the community. Um, and when you don't do that, you create programs and projects and things that don't have the buy-in that's needed for them to be successful, to be sustainable. There is another nonprofit here in the region that assumed that they knew what the community wanted, and so they just went and did it and didn't really do as much outreach as they probably should have. And those initiatives have since dried up, and it went from a healthy food sounds great. It sounds great on paper. I want to bring more healthy food to the region, but when you're doing things that the community may not be willing to participate in, if you don't include them, they will fail. And so that's just one of the examples that I see it a lot. As a North County resident, we get surveyed a lot. I'm not just someone who's doing this work, but I'm a person who actually benefits from the work. And we get surveyed a lot. What do you want to do? What do you want to see? And then they, end the survey. And then they don't do what we wanted to see or what we wanted them to do. So when you include the community and bring in all the pieces, funding and all of that, it really makes a difference.
So let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, well, how do I go about doing this? How do I? Oh, okay, I understand what you're saying. I'm learning, I'm listening, learning from someone that has experience doing this or that has been successful. What are some of the different ways? Because I guess when I think of listening, I think of like you said, surveys. I think of community forums.
Mhm.
Um, what did you use, or if you're
Yeah.
helping someone, what do you suggest?
So one of the best things to do as far as listening is to meet people where they are.
Okay.
Surveys are great. Forums are great. Focus groups are great. But sometimes people can't always get to those things,
Mm.
or they may not have time for those things, or they may not know what it is you're asking them to come to. They're getting off work, they got their kids from
Right.
school, they're trying to get home and cook. What are you talking about? So
Mm.
we would literally go to barbershops and beauty shops
Mm.
and the bus stations and grocery stores. We walked the neighborhood sometimes and knocked doors with our laptop
Mm.
and, took the information that way. We would just go wherever people already were, laundromats, so that you're not asking people to do something extra outside of, their time and their efforts.
Yeah,
And then when they saw that we were willing to go wherever they were more willing to give us real responses.
I like that. Sorry, my son, everybody, my son was getting a little loud in the background. I thought I was going to have to go on mute. Um, I'm thinking I don't do surveys. I'm sitting there,
Right. Exactly.
and they be sitting there survey. Oh, give it, even if it's two questions on a call. I just don't do
Mhm.
it. And I got a lot to say. It's not that I don't have anything to say,
Right.
but I never do surveys. That's why we were talking about. I'm thinking like,
Yeah, people be busy.
this. But you're right. Like, let's say if I'm in my local grocery store, or like you said, let's say women. Let's say if I'm even trying to find out something about my business, let's say,
Hmm.
and how to better serve women, and to go to the hair shop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People are already
You get
sitting
some
there.
valuable information.
And, I hadn't even thought of that. You know?
Valuable conversation.
Yeah. Wow. And so that's why I think it's so important to have platforms like this
Hmm.
where we're discussing things, because and even bringing people together,
Yeah.
like one person may say, oh, I've tried this. One person
Hmm.
says, oh, I've
Hmm.
tried this, and well, what happened when you did it? Da, 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 and
Yeah.
I guess also too, do you find that it depends also on, I guess, the group that you're trying to elicit the feedback from? Like for me, like I said, my primary audience is women. So I know for you it's women and men, all eight, all well, I was gonna say all ages, but yeah,
Yeah.
adult. So do you find that it's easier to maybe get information from women than it is men?
Well, yeah, because
Okay.
women are just more communicative.
Right. Okay.
Um, Men, you have to have like, so we have a couple of guys on the team,
Okay.
and they're more of the, hey, bro, let's talk. And then once you break down some of those, because we also have
Mhm.
trust issues. Like I
Right.
said,
Right.
being in the community that's been surveyed to death,
Hmm.
people don't want to talk to people all the time. They're saying, why are they asking this? Why are they here? What's
Right.
their
Why?
end game? Hmm.
Right. Why? Every
Yep.
question. Why?
Yep.
Because I know I'm a social worker, therapist, and we ask a whole bunch of questions,
Hmm.
and people are like, why? Who's
Yeah.
gonna know about this?
Yeah.
Where's this information going? What you gonna do with it?
Exactly. We
So
see it.
uh-huh. Yeah. So how do you guys, is there a particular way that you, or have you run, or how do you handle that? Because I know you run into it.
We just be honest. We just
Okay.
be honest. Sometimes some of the information we need is like demographic based,
Mm,
and we tell them the funder's asking for it. You know,
okay.
I don't
Okay.
care what race and age and all that stuff you are, but the funder needs it.
Underneath it.
And I've got this bag of groceries for you, so help
Hmm.
me out.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like that. Like you said, just being honest, just being transparent,
Hmm.
because when you get into funding,
Yeah.
a lot of that comes with it.
Yep.
Yeah, so okay. All right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to share in particular around listening to the community?
I think we hit all the good points.
Okay.
It's just really important to, as you're listening to people,
Hmm.
understand where they're coming from and not be judgmental,
Yes.
and try to fix your face if you're one of those people who communicates with their face,
Hmm.
because you'll hear some stories. We met with a group of expectant mothers a
Okay.
couple of times, because they're also a valuable resource for information. What do they want for their health, for their for
Hmm.
their babies? And sometimes when you get into that space, you hear stories, and then you want to fix everything, and you have to make sure that you are taming yourself to know that you can't fix everything,
Right. Right.
because then you burn yourself out, stretch yourself too thin, and you set up unrealistic expectations.
Right.
That's
Right.
a part of listening too.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, you're right. I think that's a huge part of it. Just in terms of even just dealing with just as a leader,
Hmm.
being is not, I mean, and to a certain extent we're all, judgmental. We all have our own beliefs and
Yes.
values and
Yes.
biases, but like you said, trying to let go as much of that as possible,
Yeah.
really really promotes, people to basically be honest,
Hmm.
people to feel comfortable
That's
to
right.
give you the information,
That's
so
right.
yeah. So I think another huge piece of the puzzle that always comes up is collaborative efforts.
Yes.
So I know, based on what you shared, even from the beginning, you were collaborating.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I know that there's a lot of individuals that are just out there just doing it by themselves, and I mean, and well, I guess that's a whole nother conversation. Or at least I don't know what your experiences have been with collaborative efforts and trying to get people to collaborate, but I know I've talked with a lot of individuals, and sometimes that's challenging,
It's very challenging.
either for them to want to do the collaboration or to get others to buy into it.
Hmm.
So talk to us a
Both.
little bit about that, because it seems like
Yeah.
you're
So
really good at that.
collaboration works best with, one, cooperation,
Hmm.
and two, with non-increased capacity.
Let me say that again.
Non-increased capacity. And what that means is, if you want me to collaborate with you, but then I have to do more than what I'm already doing
Mm,
to collaborate with you,
okay.
that may not be a good fit for collaboration at this time, because
Okay.
you're increasing my capacity without increasing my resources.
Okay.
You know, like, we have a finite number of, whether it's people, time, money. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have our programming linked into what we're already doing. So if you want to collaborate, it has to make sense. It has to fit,
Okay.
almost like Legos. I can't have to buy a whole nother Lego set just to collaborate with you.
Right, right. Okay. Okay.
And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes, and this is something that kind of rubs me with funders. They say, "Well, this person is doing the same thing as you are, so why don't you guys collaborate?" And it's not always about doing the same things. It's about doing compatible things.
Right.
Like if I'm growing food and this person is growing food, we may not need to collaborate. But if I'm growing food and this person is distributing food,
Right.
that is a good collaboration because then I can actually further along my mission without increasing my capacity.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's one of the things that I've learned in business and collaborating, that and you know what, and this even goes into building a team,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're looking at it from the perspective of, let's say, building a team, I don't want to go get a bunch of Jackies. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That want
Oh
to
my God. Can you imagine a bunch of Ericas?
Right, they want to run off at the mouth and ask a whole bunch of questions.
No.
You know what I mean? Because that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's like it, because initially when I was first starting out, I was bringing people into my space that are just like me.
Yeah.
And
Same.
I think being human, that's what we tend to do, right? Because
Yep.
that's what we
Yep.
feel comfortable with. But when you're building a team or looking to
Mm-hmm.
collaborate, you have to look at it differently.
Yes.
Like if I'm collaborating, then like for example, I may not want to collaborate with another coach,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
unless maybe we're both coaches, but she's a financial coach
Right.
and this is a business strategist, or this
Yep.
is a mindset coach.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So they're all coaches,
Absolutely.
but they have different areas that they specialize in.
Mm-hmm.
Or like building a team again. I think it's easy to say, okay, well, I want a bunch of people that are kind of like me, so we can get
Mm-hmm.
along, right?
Yeah.
So so to speak. But getting along is important, but you really have to look at, what do you need help with, what like you said, what would be
Exactly.
a good fit.
Exactly.
So when you design or think about a collaboration, I,
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's very important that you brought that up, in terms of not adding to someone else's plate.
Yeah.
Everybody only has like a certain amount of bandwidth, that
Mm-hmm.
time
Mm-hmm.
and energy and things of that nature.
Right.
So when you get ready to do your collaborations, do you, I guess, kind of, do you start from what you need, or yeah, do you start from what you need, or do you do more of an analysis of, do you pick maybe someone that you think you want to collaborate with, and then try to figure out how you guys, or if it would be a good fit? Like, how do you
Um,
start doing that? What's the
yeah,
first
so
step?
what I normally do is I actually don't set out to plan for a collaboration,
Okay.
but what I do is I set out to see how I can further the mission. And then as I meet people and learn what they do or learn where they're working or what skills and resources they have available, then we say, oh, well, that's great. We should collaborate.
Okay.
One great example of this, I'm so excited. I mentioned my team of entrepreneurs who are forming this co-op. Well, they've been in need of kitchen space because our brick and mortar kitchen space is currently being renovated.
Mm.
And so I met a young man who recently converted a former coffee shop in Ferguson into a space that has a commercial kitchen. And so it wasn't like, I'm looking to see, oh, I have to collaborate, But it was, I need a kitchen.
Okay.
And so once I found him, we just talked actually this afternoon. He's going to send me the contract so we can get that going. So
Okay.
that's going to be like, we have our chefs, we have our food. He has the kitchen. Now we're going to bring it together and make it something beautiful.
Okay. All right. So when you talked about taking into consideration about other people that you're collaborating with, that they don't have to, or they're not adding a whole lot extra to their
Mm-hmm.
plate. You know, I guess it kind of made me think about like a sales strategy. Like
Mm-hmm.
let's
Mm-hmm.
just say if you're selling something, like being able to answer those questions that people are going to come up with. Well, what about this? And well, what
Yep.
about that?
Yep.
So when you mentioned that, I kind of thought about that, like in terms of, I find myself doing that more when because I look to collaborate, because of the fact that I'm still building my team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, I know that coming together, we're so much more powerful than
Oh,
just
absolutely.
me trying to,
Absolutely.
deliver a particular message. And then of course cross promoting and,
Yep.
things of that nature. Like maybe this person do make the videos,
Mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
person, I don't know, does the editing, graphics, whatever.
Yeah.
So I know for me, I specifically look at different people or different organizations that I may want to collaborate with, and
Mm-hmm.
I really try to look at it from the perspective of, everything's already laid out. You know what? Like they come up with a question.
Yep.
You know what?
There
I
you go.
have an answer for you.
There you go.
Right here you go. Okay, what else you got? Come on, what else you got? You know what I mean. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so I
Oh
like
yeah. It just has to make sense, and it
right.
has to fit, whatever you're trying to do as far as your team, what
Hmm.
we're trying to do as an organization. One of our farmer collaborators, he's amazing because he has a lot more acreage than we do.
Hmm.
And so, we can grow so much, but then he can grow a whole lot more. And so then we're able to get more of the food from him to give it out to the neighbors.
Okay.
But, if we both had two small farms, we're both trying to grow lettuce and tomatoes. Maybe
Hmm.
not the best kind of collaboration,
Right.
but he's able to grow watermelon and all kinds of cool things.
Okay. All right. So, what's next to come
So
for
next to
the
come for us is the completion of the renovations of our brick and mortar.
okay?
And that space is called the North County Community Nexus. It is a combination of two buildings, a former shopping plaza and a former office or bank building, that's going to become a Red Circle's office headquarters and space for the community to do the cool things like videos and conferences and podcasts and um, meeting spaces. That's going to be on the office side. And then on the shopping plaza side, there's going to be a grocery store
Mhm.
and the kitchen that I mentioned that my amazing chefs are going to be able to make their products out of, and a healthy food bistro so that we can mitigate some of the fast food and non-nutritious food that's in the region. And then on the lower level of the space, it's a really large building. There's going to be space for tenants to lease and have their own uh, business space. And then there's going to be maker space for people who want to learn how to make non-food products, soaps and lotions and shea butters and things, those types of entrepreneurs.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super exciting. It's super daunting, but
Yes.
I am audacious and sometimes I just don't have good sense, which is why I will go help my classmates because they were taking too long.
That is wonderful. Wow, that's so exciting.
Thank you.
Very exciting. So, what types of individuals should reach out to you? Because I always say, and you're gonna say it in a minute too. How they can contact you. But what types of people? Are you looking for
Mm,
funders? Are you?
yeah, real estate developers, people who like to see economic development happen in the community.
Okay.
Because one of my, passions as far as entrepreneurship goes is not just for the entrepreneurship solely, but for what they can bring to the community: tax revenue, jobs, training opportunities, workforce development. All of that spurs from entrepreneurship. And so those types of people would be people who I would be interested in and working with, learning from, sharing what I've learned with people. Funders for sure. Donors. We have nonprofit space that people can give to, and then we also have for-profit social enterprise space that people can invest in, because you can't, always move the needle with just the nonprofit space. Um, but yeah, people who just really want to duplicate some of the efforts that I'm doing here in my little community of North St. Louis County in their own neighborhoods. I met someone from East St. Louis, Illinois this week, across the river, and he's trying to do similar work. He wants to create entrepreneurship space and a farm and a kitchen. And I'm like, that's what I'm doing. So let's learn from each other and share, resources and do some peer learning. So those types of people, and just anyone who just really wants to see change happen within the racial equity space. We didn't get into this space just because we want to become entrepreneurs, but because of the past segregation and current discrimination in funding and opportunities. So people who really want to right the wrongs of the past and want to do it the right way.
They want people that want to make a difference.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. So go ahead and let the audience know where they can find you, or or how they can connect with you.
All right. So you can find the website, A Red Circle, at www.aredcircle.org. And on the website, you'll see the handles for all of our social media. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, and I'm sure there's one I'm leaving out, but we're on all of those. And you can also go to the Contact Us page and click on the link or send us an email. You can sign up for our newsletter. We're going to be kind of like ramping that up. It's been going out quarterly, and we're going to be ramping that up so that it's a little bit more diversified, so you can learn more about, whether you're interested in food or education or the arts or the Nexus project itself. So we're really excited about things that are happening. If you're in the St. Louis region and want to meet for coffee, I do coffee chats on Friday mornings at 2 different coffee chats, depending on which one. One is a Black-owned entrepreneur. She is in the city of Jennings, which is in North County. And then the other one is a wonderful woman named Leah. She was on like the food channel, and she has a bakery shop in Florissant, also in North County. So, I'm just really big on promoting entrepreneurship, promoting small businesses, and getting the word out about the work that we are doing.
Wow, I like that. I like the little the coffee chat. Like, if you're in the area, come on.
It helps. It helps so much. Instead of when can we chat? When can we? Friday morning, 8:30. Friday morning, 8:30.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been great. I mean, this has been very, very informative, and you were very nice to talk with.
Awesome.
You're just a wealth of information over there. You got good energy and everything. Wow.
Awesome. I thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome. You're most welcome. So, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you check out some of the other episodes, some of the other interviews from the Born to Lead docuseries. And if you yourself are interested in being interviewed, connect with me. I typically hang out on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. My handle, or shall, yeah, Dr. Jacqueline Kaba-Harrison. You can find me on Facebook and on LinkedIn. I am also, I guess I'm on IG. I have a presence on IG. I don't necessarily hang out there too often, but I do have a presence on IG. So thank you so much for supporting, all the support that you've given over these years. And make sure that you share it out with someone else. If you have found some of the content helpful, then, tell a friend, tell a couple of friends. This episode, or shall I say, the A Queens Roundtable show and podcast streams on the Realizing Your Potential TV network app, which is available on Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV, and Apple TV. We are also available in the Android App Store as well as the iOS App Store. So for those of you that want to, catch us on the go. And of course, last but not least, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So thanks again. And until next time, everyone, take care. Remember, each day is another day to become a better version of yourself. All right. I'll see you all next